Okay, so this is Coast. You have in your home screen have all your favorite websites. You can have as many as you want to. And every site behaves like an application. So if you open it, you get a nice animation automatically generated by Coast. There's no toolbars, there's no clutter in the interface. The site gets the full canvas, the full screen estate. There's only 2 buttons at the bottom here, integrated to Chrome. There's a button to go home here, and then it flips back. And if you reopen it, it remembers where you were. So you don't need tabs or bookmarks, it just remembers it automatically, like an application does.
Okay.
And you can also add new sites, of course. You can do it by tapping or swiping the search interface and find some new sites. So you can directly do a Google query here, or you get one of the take one of the suggested sites, open it, and use it for a little while.
Okay.
And then when you have a new site, you access a new site, it pops in the bottom of the screen at the new site. You can keep it there if you want to use it for a little while. But if you want to keep it for longer, then you can just drag it into your favorite sites. And that's all you need. Then it's there. So you need no installation or updating, it's just there.
Okay. What are these 3 dots for?
Yeah, that's a good question. At the bottom of the screen is 3 dots. Here you can get access to your recent sites. So the sites that you just recently used. Here's a site I just opened from the search interface and YouTube. There's some other sites I recently accessed. And you can quickly switch if you want to multitask between those sites. But you can also just remove them from the memory from the browser if you don't need them.
So these are like different tabs which are actually a kind of a web application for a specific website?
They're not really tabs, but they provide a way to different switch. And with tabs, with a typical browser with tabs, you have to manually close and open tabs because otherwise the browser gets slow or cluttered. And here you don't have to do that. The browser does it for you.
Okay.
If needed, it can close it automatically and restore it.
So till what number it will keep on opening? It will keep these apps retained in the background, and after what time or what number basically it will close that?
It depends on the device, on how much memory there is available. Typically you can have 7 sites open. It depends a bit, and you can close them manually, and it will recover where you were. So if you're on a particular page, it goes back to the page.
So these sites which we are seeing over here, is it actually a kind of a HTML5 version of this website which is being loaded in this kind of an application format? Like how it is actually loading this kind of a view? Because if you load the website, they have a different view altogether when you load it on the desktop. But the kind of view which we see over here is much more optimized. So is it an HTML5 version or anything else which we are seeing over here when it comes to loading of the website, the overall design which we see?
So these sites are in general, they're the regular desktop sites, as a matter of fact. With Coast, what it does, it makes from all these websites that are on the internet, it makes them feel like a little application, so they feel more optimized. But any site on the internet works, and that's a great thing, because there's
Can you just load our website? I would like to see how does it load.
Okay, which website?
It is gadgetstories.com.
Gadgets?
GADGETS, gadgets.
Yeah.
2 TO.
Okay.
USE. USE.
This one.
.com. Okay, so whatever URL which you are going to type, it will suggest you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if it found it. It has only a small little icon. And some sites, if the site specifies a bigger icon, it would show the big icon. So if you specify Windows Live Tile, for instance, we picked it up, or Apple Touch icon.
Okay. So later on, you can actually add this to the tiles which you have, the kind of square icons which you have.
So if I open it now and go back to the home, it comes in a new site, and I can edit directly in there. But you can also, if I would go back there again in the search interface, it's all the tiles. You can all drag them and use them simultaneously as you use or as you expect. So you can also just tap and hold it here and directly drag it in.
Okay. So when it comes to the kind of functionalities which one can expect while they are browsing the websites through this kind of interface, do they have the option of sharing a web page, or for example, if I'm actually loading a web page onto this browser, onto the Opera Coast, and if I would like to share that on Facebook, or if I would like to share that page through an email, can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to a page, let me just swipe back go to the recent sites. Oh, I don't have so much in here anymore. But if I go to a site and I want to share this, and you can press this recent sites button here, and there's a share button here in the corner, and here you can choose.
Okay, so you can
options.
print it, you can send it on the email, and then you can message it, I guess.
Yeah, you can send an email or a tweet about it or Facebook, depending on the social services that you have installed, and so you can get it directly. I don't have Twitter set up.
It is optimized to load every other website over there, or some website which you load have to have some kind of specifications when it comes to giving you this kind of a layout in terms of the overall look and feel when you load them onto this particular application?
No, it's the websites don't have to do anything. That's what is really the beauty of the web, and what works so well in Coast is they don't have to do anything. So even the simplest website works. But of course, if you make a website that is touch optimized, so it has touch events, it has nice icons, then it will look better in Coast. But it's any website works, and that's the great thing. There's almost 1 billion websites on the internet, and all of them are accessible in a more modern and visual way.
So do we also have a private browsing mode into this particular application, so that if you want to browse a web page and you don't want to have a history of that, can you do that on this?
There's no particular private browsing mode, but it is really simple to go to if you're on a page. If you're on a page and this is a page where you don't want other people to know about, then you can just swipe it up and it removes all the information about the page. So you can easily selectively remove all the
And you can also not see the history of other web pages which you have opened within this application this way.
Yeah. Exactly. So people can't find traces of that.
Okay, there is no history which is being saved in any way.
No, there's history saved, but if you swipe it back, then everything is deleted about it.
Okay. So for example, if I would like to undo an action, for example, if I swipe it like this, but I would like to regain it back, is there any provision for that as well?
No, you can't do that directly. But we see that people don't really do it that often. What we do see is that people might accidentally remove a site, and that you can easily do by removing it back.
Okay. Is there a limitation of how many sites you can actually pin in this way?
No, there's absolutely no limitation. It works really fast. Also, if you have a lot of sites, you can configure the grid, so you can show a little bit more applications, a little bit more sites per screen. So there's absolutely no limits, and there's a lot of cool sites on the internet, so you can add them all.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about the Coast?
Well, there's a couple of interesting features. I can show the way the security works in Coast.
Okay.
In a normal browser, if you want to know if you're secure, then you have to look at the address. If it says indeed, for instance, Bank of India .co.in, and you have to check if it has a padlock somewhere, and you have to know that this is indeed a website of Bank of India and not some spurious websites. But in Coast it works differently. We don't show all this clutter to the user, but in the background there's a security engine that runs continuously and evaluates the security. So if you go to a site which has a safety problem, for instance, this site, then Coast in the background checks it and takes it away from you because it sees there's a problem with it. You can inspect the detailed reasons why we believe this is a bad page. And this is a total new way of addressing security and safety. It's a lot more comprehensive, and it allows Coast to decide on all kinds of details if you're really at risk, and that filters out a lot of false warnings in other browsers and actually shows detects real attacks that you don't see in other browsers. So one example is if you go to a site that has no reputation, you've never been there before, and the first thing it does is ask for your credit card information. Then Coast will give a warning because it's very suspicious. In other browsers it won't happen.
So is there any some kind of compression as well which is being done when you load a web page onto this particular application, so that you save some data as well when you are using this application on 3G data when you are on the go?
There's no direct compression in built-in. It's optimized for iPads, and most iPads use Wi-Fi, where it's not that relevant. But the way that Coast automatically remembers where you've been and optimized memory usage, that actually saves data too, because it always has these 7 sites or more in memory, and it saves extra additional information. So even if you don't. Even though you don't have to use manual tabs, it automatically makes sure that it can store as much information as possible. So in that way, it's efficient. We also reworked the caching mechanisms in Coast to be more efficient and to reload less data. Navigating through.
So as of now, if I talk about this application, it actually loads the desktop version of the website in a much nicer way, in a very good UI, which appeal to the consumer in terms of who is actually looking for some kind of entertainment data on the web, and they would like to use this application to experience that data in a much better way. Yeah. But when it comes to reading website, for example, if you are reading information only in terms of text, do you have any mode in which we can enable a reading mode in that way that it actually removes all the images and it just gives you the text on which you would like to focus on while browsing a website into this?
Currently there's no such thing in Coast. We really want to focus on keeping the user interface simple and with no clutter. We see that some people want it in some cases, that in general it's not used a lot, so we haven't added it.
Okay. So anything else you would like to highlight?
I can highlight another feature from a recent for update of Coast. That's the way that you can change the background. If you tap and hold on the background, and it zooms out, and then you can choose one of the default provided backgrounds to give it a little personal touch. And you can also go to your photo roll. You can also directly go to your own photo roll. This is personal. And choose one of the images that you made with using a camera on your device. Okay. And this is a very nice and simple way to give the browser a little personal touch.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you.